Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you the threading system of this Babylock Eclipse DX 4-thread overlocker. Some of the Babylocks have a special air threading system for the loopers. So, you know, effectively you can sit the thread in here and hit the pump there, and it pulls the thread or pushes the thread through with a burst of air right through the looper systems, and that makes it very easy to thread. And this model here also has a needle threader built in as well for the left and the right needles. Yeah, so amazingly easy to thread, and I'll go through that, but just to give you a quick look at the model here. This particular one is a model BLE1 in brackets DX, so made by Juki in Japan. So very good quality, very nice machine. Juki are they actually make industrial machines, mainly that's, you know, industrial sewing machines, and they also do, you know, pick and place machines for electronics assembly, you know, board assembly, and all sorts of different types of machinery. But they are pretty big in the industrial sewing machine world, and although this is called a Babylock, it's actually made by Juki, so you know, you can't go wrong as far as quality is concerned. So let's get into having a wee look at how to thread this machine. The manual shows you how to do all this, but there's a handy little diagram in the back here. It guides you through the threading process. So let's start by completely unthreading this machine. I'm just going to cut the white thread cones off here, and let's lift the presser foot. That releases the tension there. I'll go through the process step by step. So yeah, maybe at the end I'll do a quick speed run to see how quickly I can thread this machine. But a really awesome little system. So I'll thread the lower looper in this sort of reddy burgundy sort of colour, and upper looper in this sort of mauvey purpley sort of colour, is it? I don't know. The colour aficionados out there will probably tell me exactly what colour that is, but looks sort of pinky purpley, I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be our top looper. Actually, hopefully I've got enough thread on there to demonstrate that. And top threads, the needle threads, I'll just do in white. Actually, I'll use these cones here, a little bit dirty on top there, but that'll be fine. So first of all, we extend the thread mast there, making sure that it's lined up correctly. I've done a video on making sure your thread mast is in position. We will put the needle threads on there. Just use these top looper, bottom looper, and then we'll do the first part by, you know, just bringing the threads over the top. That, and then on the back here we've got the four little slots here for the threads to go into, and you just pull those down in there like that. They just clip in, and I'm just going to bring them down through the channel there as well, on top of the machine. Right needle, left needle. Now the really good thing about this system is you don't have to thread the loopers first. I've done a video where I show a common problem where if your looper threads have come unthreaded, or one of them has, especially the lower looper, well in particular the lower looper, if that comes unthreaded and you still have your needle threads threaded through, you can come a cropper where you can thread the looper thread over the top of the needle threads, and you'll get about 3 stitches in and things will go awry. I've actually done a video on that. So on a normal overlocker, where you don't have the fancy threading system like this Babylock's got, you'll see that the looper comes through and picks up the needle threads off the back of the needles there, and you can see that this lower looper here that's coming across from the left is not threaded. So I'm just demonstrating the problem here, where you've got you can see the red and the blue threads are wrapped around the looper. So what can happen is when you go ahead and thread the lower looper here, just get that lower thread over the back of the looper there. Some machines have a little eyelet there, and you'll see there that I've threaded the lower looper there, and you can see there that the white thread is actually going over the top of the two needle threads. So the white thread's in front, it's sort of so that the needle threads are in behind the white thread. You know, that'll cause all sorts of problems when you start stitching. As I say, you'll get about 3 stitches in, and more than likely the looper thread will break, and you can see it all tangling up and going awry there. So with this Babylock you don't have that issue, and you'll see why when I get down close and have a look at the threading system. And yep, that's starting to get pretty messy there and jamming. So yep, that's a traditional overlocker I'm showing there. So with the Babylock we don't get those issues. So it's really important on a machine like that to thread the lower looper first or the upper looper first. It doesn't really matter too much which one you do first, but you know, upper looper maybe first and then lower looper, and leaving the needles until last. And there's a couple of other wee tricks too that you can do that I've shown in that video. So yeah, maybe if you're interested, take a wee look at that full video there. So if we take a look back at the Babylock here, you can open the front door there just by pulling it straight out, and there's also another little slide door here. Just pull that to the right and pull it towards you. Now if we take a closer look here, you'll notice some levers and buttons. If we follow along with the little diagram here, it's saying to, you know, number 1, raise the presser foot, which I've done. And the next thing to do is to engage the threading system, and that's done by holding pressure in on this button here and turning the machine in operating direction until you hear it click in or feel it click in, like that. The button's gone in and it's latched in, and this little lever here has flicked off to the left, and that's so that now this is actually latched in position. And if I try and turn the hand wheel, I can't, it's locked in position. So, you know, if you ever come across a Babylock, or if you have one and you wonder why you can't turn the wheel, maybe you think the machine's jammed or seized, just double check that this is in its sewing position, because we just engaged it into threading position there. So I'll just put that back into threading. Locked again, so that's where we want it. In the little diagram here we've got 2 options. We've got needle threading and we've got looper threading. Now, as I explained, you don't have to thread these machines in any particular order, not like the traditional machines that we just saw where you should thread the loopers first and needles last. Let's do the loopers first. Okay, so we have a switch here with a U on the left side and an L on the right side, and so that's upper and lower looper. So let's start with the lower looper. We'll switch that across to L, and then we can literally just put the thread down. It says to put 1 inch of thread length down through the little port here, threading port. And there's also a warning there, do not oil, okay, because you know they could be mistaken for oiling points, but they're not. That would clog the system up. And so we feed in about 1 inch of thread there. Now I find that quite often you can't get an inch of thread in there. It just stops, but that's fine. And the other thing I've found, which they don't really sort of explain on here, and I've just found a little bit easier, is I make sure that I've got a bit of slack of thread. So we've got the red thread with a big loop here, and you can actually hold the thread with a bit of slack there. So now we've got some slack in the thread here, we can give this lever a good pump, and you'll see the thread get sucked in like that. Now if you've got enough slack, if you're lucky, the thread will actually come out the looper, but I don't think we've got quite enough there, so I'm just going to pull a little bit more slack through and give it another pump. And you may have seen that. So there you can see the threads come out of the looper and shot out into this area here, and that's it. That's looper threaded. So amazingly easy to thread. And if we take a quick look at the upper looper, it's pretty much the same deal. So switch over to U for upper. Might pay to make sure you've got a nice clean end on the thread there. Thread that in as far as you can get it. I think more than an inch went in there. Anyway, I'll grab a whole lot of slack here, and hopefully we can see it. It should shoot out this port up through this tube out here, and I'll give you a closer look at this. Just as easy as that. A really nice, easy threading system. And let's take a close look at what's happening here. So I'll just pull those threads back out again. Go back to the lower looper. So what's actually happening here is there's a little air reservoir in behind this cover here, and that's pumping air. So what's happening here is it's when you pump this lever, is it's sucking air down this channel and blowing it out of this tube here. Now get in for a closer look. Now that's the lower looper threading tube, that one there, and the upper looper threading tube is the one in behind. So when we engage the threading system, I'll disengage it now just to show you. The little tubes retract, okay, and that's where the thread comes through these little tubes. When we have it engaged, these tubes feed right through and engage with these tubes here. Take another quick look at that. So we've got these tubes here are the actual lower looper and the upper looper threading tubes. And of course when the machine's turning, you can't have these tubes out coming through here, because they it just interferes with the working of the machine. And when we engage the system, the tubes come out and mate up with these tubes here, and that's ready. So that gives you a constant path from the through the threading tubes and up into the loopers there. Now I'll just disengage that for a second just to get a better look at the actual tubes. So you can see there's the upper looper tube, comes along here, does like an S shape and comes right up and out of the upper looper eye, basically the threading eye. So the tube is actually running right back right down here to this point here, which is where the these little threading port tubes engage to here. So it's a very ingenious design, and it looks to me like Juki may have won an invention award with this. It's a brilliant system. And the lower looper port there comes through and along the tube, and it snakes around up to the back of the looper, I'll remove the presser foot and take this plate off here, just so we can get a better look at what's actually going on there. Yeah, we might be able to get a better look there, but it's still going to be a little bit difficult to see. So here we have the lower looper here, and you can see the tube running along the channel there, and that snakes down here. So it snakes, you know, right along here, and this is where the threading port mates up there when we engage the threading port, like that. So that gives us a continuous channel right up out here. So I'll stay sort of quite close there while I thread now, and you'll see the thread shoot out of the looper here. So I've just threaded the thread into the port there. I'll give it a good amount of slack and give it a good pump, and there it is, one pump. If you've got enough slack, it'll pull through and come right out. Easy as that. I'll do the other one. So I've just threaded into the port there, give it plenty of slack, and there we go. Looper threads threaded. So now that we've got our loopers threaded, we can start with the right needle here. So down through the channel and around this loop here. Also the left needle you can do at the same time. So we can bring the two threads, just lay them over the top and behind this plastic cover here, and they just lie down into the correct channels, and then it's just a matter of bringing the threads in behind this guide here. Ouch! And try not to prick yourself with the needles. And then we can just thread the needles from there. Okay, now I can show you the needle threading. Just going to remove the foot shank. You don't need to do this when you're threading these machines, but just to make it a little bit easier for you to see what's going on here. Now we've got this needle threader here, and of course we've got two needles here, so you need to be able to position this for each individual needle. So if we have a look on the side of the machine here, we've got a little lever here for the needle threader positioning. So we've got left and right needles. So if we flick over to right here, now the needle thread is positioned for the right needle and left for the left needle. Pretty straightforward. This needle threading also needs to be done whilst the machine's engaged in the threading position, by the way, because otherwise the needle threader won't line up. Now we should be able to see the two positions there. So that's the right needle threading there, and if I switch across to the left, there, left needle. Just with the flick of that lever. Obviously you don't want to move it while it's engaged. So just amazing, you know, piece of engineering there, really. Just like that. Now we are ready to thread, so I've got the needle threader set up for the right thread there. So I'll bring the needle threader in, engage. Just need to push down on the lever there. So you want the thread to be in front of the needle, but underneath these two prongs sort of come either side of the needle here. And the little hook will pick it up. The little hook has come through from the back of the needle, through the needle eye from back to front, and we've laid the thread under the two little prongs, and the little hooks caught the thread and pulled it back there, and there we go. And I'll get you a good close-up on that on this left needle here. So I've put the lever into the left hand needle position, and I'll bring the threader, engage the threader. You'll see the threader engage. So you notice that the two prongs, these two prongs here, straddle the needle. They go either side, and there's a little hook in the middle there. Engaged like that, and then you bring the thread under in front of the needle and hook. Didn't quite catch there. Try again. Keep a little bit of tension on the thread, but not too much. And there we have it, threaded. Just like that. And once I put the presser foot on, we're all set to go. Okay. It's got some fabric here. We'll just lower the presser foot and we'll just slowly and that's it, as easy as that. I mean, yeah, stitch length's all out. This machine needs stitch length and stitch bite adjusted. Let's quickly do that. So there we have it. Easy, very easy threading. And a very nice machine, very nice and smooth and fast. Looking pretty good. Okay, I did say I was going to do a speed run, threading speed run on the Babylock Eclipse DX. Got my stopwatch here, which I'll just sit down here, sit down there, and we'll do a Le Mans type start, you know, where I've got to actually put all the cones on the holders there. I'm not going to cheat by putting the cones on the holders. Everything is you know, closed up on the machine, and so yeah, let's see how we go. Off to a slow start there. Lift the presser foot. Ooh, losing a bit of time there. One. First attempt. Oh. Oh, no. Ooh, that thread's no good. Oh. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, start again. Okay, attempt 2 didn't work out so well, so we're on attempt 3. Okay, let's go. This is by far the hardest part. Okay, the furthest I've got. Should I have tweezers ready? Can't see. Tweezers. Tweezers. You could easily do it without. Piece of material. Disengage. 2 minutes. Just over 2 minutes. Not bad. Could probably do better, but that's not a bad time for threading an overlocker. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and thank you very much for watching.